The problem is that we would have to stick to the way community reacts and how you interact with the game, because these numbers would give us the idea what would be the most comfortable way for you to play, and so that we also be able to support for the studio, to support for ourselves, to keep on the development. If you have any ideas about what would be a more comfortable way of having the game as free-to-play title or pay-to-play title in a manner, for example, like DBD with some entrance ticket and with some DLCs which you can buy later, just drop us a line right now in the chat. We would be more than happy to discuss it. So, because free-to-play and pay-to-play, I just not the person who would say that this is good and this is bad. Everything can be good and everything can be done in a bad way. It just depends on the how things are done, but not the way they actually work as the idea of the monetization policy of the studio, the monetization policy of the game. Because you can make a pay-to-play game which would be really bad one, and nobody would be ready to pay for that or won't be happy with that, spending money on that. Or you can make a free-to-play game which be a really cool one, nice one, and it would be not like feeling that you're just trying your best as a developer to take all the money possible from your players. For example, I am a big fan of League of Legends, and for the whole time playing League, I've been in this project since 2010, I believe. So it's over 10 years already, maybe even 11 years already. And during the whole time of playing League, I didn't pay anything in this project, just nothing. And still, I just have tons of fun with playing this game as on solo, as playing with my friends, teammates, with our studio guys, and I'm okay with that. Nothing forces me to pay money, or otherwise I won't be able to keep on going, and so on and so after. That's, for me, League of Legends is a good example of free-to-play title, which is done in a marvelous way that you enjoy playing this game and don't have to bother about the necessity to pay just $1 each time you enter the game. That's the thing. But anyway, I believe, of course, would introduce some kind of cosmetics into the game, and the way you'll be able to acquire it, it's still a kind of a question we need to solve in the coming time, because now we are happy with the gameplay loop which we already built, how everything is played, how everything is felt, how everything is working as a game that you can repeat and play tons of times, as a good PvP game should be organized. And then, yes, next step for us would be to decide the progression, because everyone who's playing PvP games need to progress from one match to another to see what changed in your profile, what kind of records have you set up, and what achievement have you got. It goes without saying that's an important thing to do. That thing. Okay, I think that we already have the YouTube broadcast running too.
Okay.
So Alex, I would appreciate if you drop a short line into our social media that we are already online right now. So
Yeah,
we can call it unexpected broadcast. I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and the unexpected adventure. It's a kind of situation which happened with us right now. But still, guys, I really think that it's cool because you're watching us, you're being with us, so don't be shy.
Yeah, actually, so we have another comment from Twitch. Fox Smile Twitch says that he is okay with premium currency in games, but he absolutely hates the loot boxes, and he hopes that we will not go this way.
Yeah. So, honestly speaking, I am not, I just, being a developer, it would be maybe sound strange for you, but developers don't have much time to play games. honestly speaking. You as players play far more games and spend far more hours in games, including hours, than we do. And it's common practice that after a launch in half a year or even earlier, the community already knows more about the games the devs do. That's why it's really important to work with people, to hear them, to ask them right questions, to get the right answers. And you see, the only game where I really interacted with loose box mechanics was Overwatch. You see, I am just a kind of a person who plays PvP game for the sake of gameplay only. I'm usually not a big fan of any kind of achievements, of any ranks, of any other things which are typically important for most PvP players. That's why, according to the loot boxes, how it would work out and whenever we're going to use them or not, guys, let's just, first of all, we figure out the general monetization approach and we will see what we can do so it works nice. Me personally, I can't say anything good or bad about loot boxes because I consider them to be a kind of a tool which may be good and may be bad. And in our case, honestly speaking, we haven't decided everything yet. So, but anyway, if we would introduce some mechanic and you as a community won't like it and you will just explain why don't you like it and what's bad about it, we just would be 100% and even more ready to listen to you, or at least to give you exact explanation why we're doing these things and why we believe that they're good or bad, or etc. Because you can't be always 100% be right as a developer, and you can also have to be always right as a player, because things change and things, especially in games, have so many variables, so it's really hard to count everything. Okay, so yeah. So I believe I've noticed some other question on Steam.
On Steam.
Not Steam, on Twitch, I apologize.
Yeah, actually there is I haven't really figured it out yet, so that's why I haven't asked you. So if I'm not mistaken, the person who is asking this question is not sure. He says that probably we shouldn't have tests because it will be more difficult for us to have stress tests on our servers later on.
Okay.
I haven't really got
Okay,
this.
guys. You see, currently we are not at the stage where we want to stress test lots of people. We want, well, our current strategy would be to organize play tests maybe a couple of times in a month. So we gather some amount of people at the exact given time. So we will make sure that people just have enough other players to play with them. And we would be just little by little increase our player base to see how things work out, right? That's how we do plan to work with the game. So to make sure that we don't get too much pressure on servers at the one given time, but to grow it little by little every month at some point that we understand that we can afford more people to be invited into the game. Honestly speaking, online multiplayer games are pretty tough in terms of networking, and it's really things that you should be really agile about, and don't be, if something doesn't work and you need to fix something, you just need to fix it. It's okay. That's why our, as I've said, current strategy would be to add people little by little. So at some point when we notice that we have problems with pressure, we can easily solve them and move on. That's the idea.
So yeah, the person asking how we plan to move on with the testing in the future. So how do we plan to schedule probably our testing events?
Okay, usually we schedule everything in a very simple way. You can choose, you can visit our website, which is www, 3w as usual, beasthour.com, where you can find links to all our social networks. So I would strictly recommend to subscribe to Twitter and to join our Discord because it's our main tools of working with the community. Because other media are just made for the sake of people who may just find the game and get interested in it. So there we always post in advance that at this day, at this time, we're going to have this or that event. Now we schedule in this way the QA session. So Alex is in charge of the things. He is doing this every month. So to make sure that everyone knows in advance what happens and at what time. So it would be the same system of letting you know the day and time of the next playtest. And now we do think that we're going to use a Steam playtest feature, which allows to get exact number of people. So we know that no more than the given exact number of players would be possibly coming to play with us. That would help us to calculate the server pressure and be sure that we would be all right in terms of expenses and in terms of the general resources which the service provider could give us according to our plan which we're using right now. That's the thing which we're gonna do, I believe. So actually it's really simple. We announce in social media and we use Steam playtest feature. That thing.
Yeah, that's basically what we are going to do, probably. I mean, we will have to see because it's our first ever public testing. We will have to decide. We have to make some decisions only after the test. And in any case, we will announce what we decide or like on our social media channel.
Use the next step. So we will just organize the next step. I'm sorry, guys, that I'm looking in the other direction because I'm just checking that everything is working fine on YouTube.
Yeah, Anton, I guess we had some kind of a lag, some kind of problem because for some time there was no translation on Twitch, but now I think it's live again.
Okay, but are we presented on Steam?
Yeah. Yes.
That's okay. That's really fine. I don't know what happened because okay, just let me check. So yeah, but now everything is working fine, both on YouTube and both on Twitch. So I believe that we went through it. You can see, guys, we are using a special tool which allows us to make a stream in several places at the same given time. That's why that makes some maybe problem with that, but I hope it would be pretty fine next. So okay, I'll just need to
Guys, so if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them because it's your stream. First of all, we are here for you, not purely to talk to each other because we do talk with each other
yeah.
on daily basis. So
Yes, it's our job to talk to one another, honestly speaking.
Yeah, so
No.
go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. So I think that we have some other questions on Twitch. You see, I also want to thank our Twitch followers and people who come to our live streams on Twitch because, for some reason, we currently, as we don't stream the game, well, we haven't streamed the game yet. Just we didn't make any kind of a content when we are playing online the game and just at the same time talking. Each time when you see the video of the gameplay, it's just pre-recorded video which we prepare in order to have some background, so you have some view of the game, understand of what we're developing actually. But still, there are so many people coming to Twitch, and we know that it's not just guys from our community who already know about the streams and who wait for them, but new people. That's why we are really thankful for you to join us and asking the questions. So yeah. Okay. So Alex, could you have a look and if we do have any questions on Twitch or maybe in YouTube chat?
Yeah. So I'm actually reading the comments and trying to figure out if you have any questions worth, not worth answering, but any questions we can answer.
And
So,
because I have some problem with seeing the chat on YouTube. Oh no, I see it. Yeah, I see it. It's okay.
for some reason, I cannot see our YouTube stream.
Maybe because it's, yes, you're right. It's my fault, guys. Sorry for that. I just made it unlisted. Now it would be going online.
Let
Yeah.
me check it.
So I'll just drop you a link so you have a look at it. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let me a second. Give me a second. Yeah, I see it's working. It's working fine. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So Alex, could you just drop a line into our Steam chat just to make sure that people just some words that people can ask their questions, because still we have 210 people watching us right in Steam, and there is no questions. That maybe some people just didn't notice that we do have a chat right there or something like that.
So yeah, I have sent a message on Twitch. Oh, I mean on Steam, but we have a question on Twitch as well. So what? It's a big question. So prepare yourself.
Okay.
What is the main objective of this mode, of this game mode we have in our game?
Okay.
Can you tell us and the audience about the game mode?
Yeah, so guys, honestly speaking, I can talk about the game for the all day long and giving you all the nuances and all the little rules and mechanics which we do have. But just to keep things simple as possible, you have two types of gameplay: Raider and Beast. Raiders run away and Beast chase them. So raiders, they explore the haunted city. They look for a special resource which is called Arcana. It has a form of several quests which you can find on the map. By fulfilling this quest, you level up, you unlock new abilities and upgrade already those which were already opened. And you need to compete with other raiders for the sources of experience, because it would help you to survive against the beasts, which would be always trying to chase and find and kill you. And also by the end of the game, you lose the ability to respawn, and you need on the either fulfill a special quest and run away from the haunted city, or you can try to remain the last survivor standing. And in case of beasts, you hunt raiders, you track them, you chase them, you fight other beasts for their territories, which are presented in the game, which help you to become as you occupy the territory, you become a better hunter, you can sense your prey in easier. And you, of course, need raiders as the main source of experience of yours, because you also level up, but not opening abilities, but boosting UHP and damage. And by the end of the game, as the beast, you should get rid of all your opponents and remain the only alpha on the map. That's the thing.
There is actually one more quick question. If we are going to have any bots, any like computer controlled characters in the game?
Currently, guys, we don't have any bots. Because we discuss in the team how it's possible to make bots in Beast Tower, but honestly speaking, it's really complex to make good bots for such a game with a crazy vertical gameplay, and that you need to move around, to shoot, to predict, to use quests and so on and so after. That's why we decided to solve it in a very well, it's not a kind of a thing that we just planned from the early beginning of the game. We just decided that when we were working out the gameplay rules, that 8 players are pretty enough to have a nice time in Beast Tower. That's why I don't think that it would be a problem to get enough people to play the game, because it's only 8. It's not in some like battle royale games when you need hundreds of players and just on the start you just need some kind of bots so you can fill in the lobbies. In our case, it's not a problem. That's why we don't bother much about making bots, because, as I've said, only 8 players necessary, and also bots in Beasttown need to be really, really good ones, and it would take quite a time to create such kind of AI which would be looking nice in this environment. Just keep in mind that even the great guys from Riot Games, authors of League of Legends, it took them several years, if I'm not mistaken, to introduce good bots. So when you play these bots, you really feel that you can somehow learn things, that you can test out things. Of course, they're not as cool and if not as dangerous as real players, but still they somehow are, really good training tools which you can use, especially when you want to try out a new character. That's the thing.
So actually, there is another question. The person is trying to figure out if we have, separate teams of raiders competing with each other, or like it's free for all. Like if there are no allies. What do you say?
Okay, yeah, guys, it's a very good question, because it's a really important foundation of Beast Tower that we have a free-for-all mode. I believe I can spend some time answering this question because it's really important one. You see, the point is that when we started the development of Beast Tower, our key reference, our key game, which was a kind of a inspiration for the general idea of gameplay of one player's runaway and other players chase, it was Dead by Daylight. Honestly speaking, we had this idea, well, somehow it happens that we started thinking about the game, and at that point Beast Tower became available. It just came to the market. And it turned out that it was a good polygon for us to test out if people, generally speaking, like the idea of playing as a person who runs away and a person who is hunting or chasing this survivor. And DBD proved that it is a good concept that people like. And then when we were making first prototypes, we had tons of ideas how things could work out. For example, the very early idea of Beast Tower would be that it would be 10 players on a relatively small map, and then one of them randomly turns into a werewolf, and this werewolf need to hunt other humans, and as soon as he catches a human and finishes a human, this prey turns into a new werewolf, and this pack starts growing until the only one last human stays on the last raider stands in the game, and the first werewolf who kills this raider wins, or raider wins if he manages to survive for around a minute or two. This concept we tried several times and showed to our colleagues, to our friends, and it turned out that it didn't really work nice, because the common practice was that people didn't want to play for the character they didn't choose at the start of the game. And what was the thing with forcing them to play a beast when a person didn't want to play beast, or forcing a player to choose raider because he wasn't that lucky to be chosen as a beast. Yeah, that's the problem. We had several iterations of this prototype with back transferring mechanics, like if you turn into a werewolf, you can finish a human and return back to a human form again. And it was really weird, and it turned out that the whole idea of forcing people to play characters they didn't want to play doesn't work at all. It just doesn't work. And we started thinking what we can do next and how we could improve the situation. And at some point, we really wanted to make a kind of a team-based mode with raiders against beasts. And it turned out that it faces the common problems with most asymmetric games where you can kill the boss, the monster, or heavily CC the opponent, such a powerful opponent. The team is always stronger than the one person. It just works without saying. And when we try to make the game where it would be a team-based mode of raiders versus beasts, again, it spoiled the whole idea of parkour chases, because in this formula, every person who ever played any team shooter like Overwatch, you know that the better you stay together, the better you are at working with your teammates at close ranges, putting shields, shooting down enemies, healing, the better you are. And when we introduced this team mode, it turned out that huge map for parkour chases, nobody uses it. Because you just stick together, you shoot, or you try to attack as a pack if you play as beasts. That's why we decided that free-for-all would be the best thing for us, because you never know how your opponent would behave whenever he or she would help you, or attack you, or try to steal your prey, or try to be after some source of arcana which you already looked for yourself. And it really creates tons of crazy cool situations, because you never know whom to trust, you never know what to expect, and that gives the most important thing of any PvP project. It gives you stories and emotions which stay with you after you are done with the match and you return back to lobby and you remember what happened during these 15 minutes of you spent playing Beast Hour. Yeah, so the game is free for all, and it's really, really important for us. We sometimes get asked if we're going to introduce some kind of co-op mode or maybe some kind of team play mode. Believe us, we do have such ideas in mind, but we are not ready to discuss them yet, because this mode, which you are seeing right now on your screens, it works nice. We like how it plays, how it's people find it okay and interesting, and what's most important, it can be played for tons of times and you don't get bored. That's why it's really important for us. Yeah, so it would be my answer to the questions. Please, if I was talking too long and you maybe missed some things, drop extra questions in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, actually, there are more questions because, you did talk a lot. And so, yeah, people had the time. So actually, the question is about the setting of the game. What's it like? What is it more like? Is it more like steampunk or dark fantasy or like gothic? Some kind of environment. What's this setting is all about? What was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah. It's a good question, because we were inspired for very many things. So we were inspired with such games is like Order 1886. Yeah, from my personal point of view, it's the most coolest visual game on PC4 for the whole history of the console, really. And it holds this cool Victorian view, it has cool Victorian costumes, and its alternative steampunk universe, which really, really catched our eye. Also, we got inspired with real history, like World War One, which we believe in our team to be a kind of a true steampunk war with, all this weird mechanism, so with all these weird costumes, armor, weapons, and so on and so after. That's the thing. Yeah, and also we like such games as Dark Souls and Bloodborne, which gave the look of Beast Hour such kind of a gothic feel. But generally speaking, gothic feel is really typical for all the stories about werewolves, vampires, and all creatures like that. That's why we just couldn't neglect it. So yeah, and we really, really just draw inspiration from many things, from art, from movies. For example, like Van Helsing movie, like Underworld movie, which really, really had its impact on what you see right now. For example, and even for the so-called Spider District, which you can have a look at the test, which would happen on the 19th, on Sunday, 6 to 9 UTC time, that one of the districts is really was influenced by the Witcher 3 game. I mean the expansion of Blood and Wine. You know, Alex is a really good and cool fan of Witcher, and he knows many things about the game. So just correct me if I'm wrong. This area is called Tassant, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it
So
is.
yeah, there we looked at the cool, nice, colorful buildings, and we used this kind of approach of making, you know, mixing bright colors for walls in order to make them look, you know, rich, bright, and to give the area a feeling of, you know, such a living territory where people were just living in their homes, having fun, working out, just and doing, you know, some entertainment and visiting some cafes, something like that. Yeah, because you know, Tassant is the only maybe area in the whole Witcher 3 game and franchise where things are not that bad.
I mean, actually, the ending can be pretty, devastating for this region. But other than
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's your point is right. So actually, we have another question. This time, it's the person is not sure. So basically, how many beasts do we have in one match? How many raiders, and why we don't have only one beast, for example, like many other games in the genre?
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So I just need to make a small note that I just dropped my eyes into our Twitch chat and people just mentioned Blood Omen 2 game. Yeah, guys. We are really, really into the Legacy of Kain franchise. I myself have a small collection of old CD discs for my computer, my old computer where I played these games. Yeah, of course, Nazgûl, generally the universe of Legacy of Kain and Blood Omen had an impact on us too. Sometimes when people see Beast Tower on the first, they think, oh, somebody is making a new part of Legacy of Kain or Blood Omen. And it's really, really good and really warm words for us because we respect this franchise and this series greatly. So, Alex, I apologize about the question. So the question was why we decided to have several monsters in the game and not only one, right?
Yes, and so what's the actual number of beasts and raiders?
So totally there are 8 players in one game. So 5 of them are raiders, 3 of them are beasts. As I've said earlier, they are no allies, everyone on his or her own. And why we decided not to have one strong boss? Well, we believe, as I've said a bit earlier, that it's impossible to balance the situation of one person against several players. It just works through simple math. If you calculate the balance the way that one person can fight against the team and it makes sense, yes, so it's balanced, it means that he or she would be just 100% killing anyone in case of one-on-one or one-on-two. And there it just turns out if the team doesn't work well as a whole and they don't communicate and they don't know what to do, they are not likely to have fun. The same situation happened with Evolve, when most people who played this game heavily would say that, if you don't have a good team of people and think what to do, you should just restart the game because you won't win. You have no chance because the monster would just tear you apart. On the other hand, if you have only one monster in the game and this monster is not playing really well, it's boring for the team of rivals, team of survivors who are fighting against him. So we decided that it would be, and play tested that if we have 3 beasts, it would be just 100%, that almost 100%, that among them would be some cool players who would be really, really performing the role of the boss as it should be performed in the nice way. The same thing with raiders. They are not a team. That's why you rely on yourself, and we can balance everything and almost every fight in terms of one-on-one. Yes, it may happen in the game that we have group fights of several players just gathering in one place and shooting one another and attacking one another. But in this case, you just should stick to a very important strategy that you shouldn't get between sides. You shouldn't be a person who is getting attacked from all sides possible. And believe me, in Beast Tower there are tons of mechanics which let you to escape, to avoid being surrounded. It's just for you not to get really greedy on killing people, but just to keep an eye on your HP and not being shy to run away, and use parkour for that purpose.
Yeah, because in our game you should run away. You shouldn't fight every foe, every enemy. It's okay to run away because otherwise you will not survive for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Beast Tower, guys, is about the game about parkour chases. Yes, we do have mechanics of a fight, and you can see right now how two raiders remaining and one beast are deciding who would get the upper hand in the game. But still, believe me, you can win the game as a raider without even shooting once, or without even hitting anyone, because you can be relying only on your parkour skills, on your cunningness, and your ability to just to put priorities, what you should do and what you should not do. That's the thing.
Actually, so Nilahan, if I'm not mistaken, asks us about the size of our team. So he says, I know you are indie, but it might be interesting to know how far you have done with X people working on this game. So how
So,
many?
if I'm not mistaken, the question is about how many guys are in Beach Studio, right?
Yes.
So, guys, it's a very funny question. In terms of my answering it, the answer may sound funny. I would say that we about, believe, 15 people already. It means the people who are working on the game on a regular basis. So not all of them can afford working full time. Some people work just a couple of hours every day, but we do it on a regular basis. That's why we call them the regular part of the team. And the second part of the team are people who are helping us out with some exact tasks and giving us some advice. We just call for their help from time to time. I would say it would be roughly another 15 people, but you see, we have a very important rule of ours that as soon as a person is really helping with the development, he or she just considered to be part of our team. That's why I would say that we have 15 regular members and 15 members who are helping us out on just exact task basis. That would be my answering. So roughly we could say that 15 people are working regularly. I would say that it would be the most honest answer, because you see, we very value people who help us from time to time, because, for example, one of our friends, he's just making a website for us. That's really important. And although it may sound that it's easy to do a website in nowadays, believe me, guys, it's not like that. It's not easy, especially if you want at least something out of the template which some services would provide you. Yeah, that's the answer.
So Lunaris on our Twitch chat, says that somehow our game reminds him of Evolve. Have you played Evolve actually, Anton?
Honestly speaking, I really regret that I missed this game when it was out, and I didn't have any chance to try it out, honestly. But I was so fascinated with their art style, with their general idea, and just I admired everything which was connected with the game. I even had in my playlist the main theme, which they used some famous song, which I unfortunately don't remember how it's called, and they used it in their trailer because it was just a new performance or something like that. Something like "Mother, don't you children go away." something like that. It was really, really nicely working with the whole feeling and atmosphere of Evolve. Um, yeah, but you see, it's hard to compare us with Evolve because we are not a team-based game. It's not like one monster against of a team because we don't have teams. Sometimes players in Beast Tower can unite to fight off a monster or another player, but it's just done without any regular basis, and it's up to you to choose, and we don't have any kind of mechanics which switches off the friendly fire like it's done in the cycle, or maybe solving some other issues with this thing. It's just a kind of your body language of your enemy, your behavior of your enemy, that you decide, okay, this time we can unite together against a beast, or as two beasts we can just catch some really hard raider who just makes problems for us for the whole game. But it's done just even on non-verbal level. That's the idea. That's why I believe it would be a right idea to compare us with Evolve. But what's important, I would say, is that still we are also part of the same genre with the asymmetric PvP, when players are really different ones, not in terms of their abilities or gameplay, just in terms of gameplay mechanics, I would say, but they have generally different, goals in the game and different ways of performing these goals. That's the thing. And of course, they have really, really different gameplay mechanics. So in our case, for example, raiders, they use parkour, but they're influenced by gravity, and you can't just run up a wall for countless time. But after several steps, you need to stop and make a jump off in order to keep on moving up, for example, on the building, while werewolves, they use a kind of Spider-Man style parkour, which lets them to climb any building, any wall, and they're not limited by the height, and they're not limited by the ability to run along the walls as long as they can.
Let me just combine two questions from different people here. So about our new characters. So one person is asking us about new monsters. The next guy asking us about new raiders. If we have any plans for them and what they are all about. What can
So
you say?
about new monsters. So guys,
And monster and raider.
okay, guys. Currently in the current version of the game, we should be able to try on the um, so the version which will be available by demo this Sunday, you would have three characters, right? You would have one male raider, one female raider, and it would be not just a change of visual, it will be a change of gameplay, because our male raider, his name is Zelus Aquin, he is using the power of electricity, teleports, shields, lightning bolts, while another person is Yudoko Hiro. She is a kind of a poisonous raider. She's throwing gas which poisonous and slowly kills her enemies. She can leave a poisonous trail behind you, use specially gas empowered jumps, and turning into a kind of a gas ghost, which allows you to withstand tons of damage without dying. And on the beast side, we have werewolves, this powerful, strong creatures who can climb any walls. They can jump across the whole map and smash the ground in a gorilla-looking manner. And yes, then our next goal would be to add more characters into the game. It would be both raiders and it would be both beasts. I believe I could say a few words about the creature which we teased not long ago in our social media, right, Alex?
Yes.
So
Yes, of
yes,
course.
our next beast, or I would say the beast we currently are prototyping right now, is a vampire. So we would do our best to have the beasts not to be skins of one another, but to be a complete new set of gameplay and new abilities, so you can feel some new things when you are trying out the game.
Is there any limits for raiders and beasts? And Could you guys create, for instance, a kind of a spider beast one day?
So, honestly speaking, the whole genre of the whole setting, I would say, the whole setting of the game allows us almost any monsters which were presented as some, I mean, some universes like Van Helsing, like Underworld, or many others. We would also happy if at some point of the development we could make a collaboration with some famous characters, some famous movies, games, or maybe comicses, so we can bring some characters as a guest ones. Well, those same things that DBD usually does when they make a contract with, for example, Resident Evil franchise and brings the characters of the Resident Evil into DBD. We would be happy to make things similar to that in Beast Tower. So generally, yes, we are working and thinking about adding new characters, new raiders, and new beasts into Beast Tower because we know that characters are really important thing of holding the interest and increasing the interest of the game because the more characters you have, the more situation you generate, the greater fun the game provides to the players.
There is another question about the our pricing policy, so I guess we'll answer it very quickly. Will the game be free to play, or if it's not, is there an estimate for the price?
Okay, guys, I've answered these questions a bit earlier this stream, but nevertheless, I would repeat the main things that we currently are still thinking about the pricing policy, and we're not ready to announce anything yet because it would be generally really matters how the closed alpha, our closed playtest would go, what results we would have, what kind of the players' retention they would show us, and then we would decide because guys, of course, we do have a plan right now, what we consider to be the best variant for Beast Tower right now, but I don't want to give any information right now because if things change, I don't want to just apologize and say that, okay, guys, due to this, and that, we decided to change our plans, so sorry for that. That's why just wait until the game get launched and we at least at some closer to the release stage and we would just describe and answer all the questions regarding the monetization right now. Currently, we provide the free demo, which anyone can play, and you don't need to pay a penny in order to try Beast Tower this Sunday.
The next question is about the game modes of our game. If we plan to have team versus team game mode, or probably if we allow players to play with friends.
Okay, according to the team versus team, currently it seems quite an easy decision for us right now because in order to make a team gameplay, you actually don't need team versus team, I would say gameplay. You don't need such a large map as ours because people used to stick together when they're playing as team. And in this case, you need far smaller areas. And then you need, I would say, some rebalancing because you need to find out how many people are playing together, what common HP, what common damage they have, and it needs usually heavy rebalancing of the current free-for-all mode. That's why I would say that just making a classic team versus team, it wouldn't be a good solution for us, at least right now, because it would mean not just to make some rebalance, some game rules changes, just simple things, but it actually would make us to make a new game on the same assets that we do have right now. And it's not a really good decision, especially from a team like ours. If we talk about playing with friends, as I've said a bit earlier, this stream, yes, we get this question quite often, and we believe that we should at some point solve this problem and offer people an opportunity to play with friends. How it would be realized, what we're going to do about it, still is a kind of a thing to consider. And just the same thing with this monetization policy. I don't want to open cards like now because it would be more than likely that our current estimations and ideas would have to be changed according to what you as players provide as feedback and the way you're really playing Beast Tower. That's the thing.
So the final part of this kind of a trilogy of questions about from Alex is about the map. So, do we have any plans for other locations, other maps, like lore-wise? Like it can make sense. He says Arcana is located in dangerous places, so that means there can be more places than just one. Do we have plans for more locations?
Well, you see, we have in-game lore. We made the lore for Beast Tower, and Alex played a very important role of writing all the main documents about what happened in this world, why raiders are coming to the haunted city, and so on and so after, right? So the point is that we and yes, and this law, it provides enough food to create not just one map, but just to create a whole world with different countries, their capitals, their people, and so on and so after. But you see, if we talk about our current approach to level design, we are planning to have one big, huge map, which would be constantly developing, improving with some new cool things, both visual, both gameplay-wise, so you don't get bored with playing on the same map for tons of time. To some extent, it can be compared with the approach of Battle Royale games, which they also use very big and detailed maps, which takes tons of work to create and tons of work to playtest and to balance out. That's why currently we don't think about the necessity of adding just tons of new maps right now. We're thinking about making this map better, more interesting, and maybe adding some new things which would help to make your gameplay more unpredictable and more variable. That's the thing.
I'm looking for more questions, but I haven't found any yet. So
Yeah, I think that the guys in Twitch already start discussing things themselves and they're asking each other things and they get answers because I believe there are our subscribers from Discord and our social media who already are familiar with our posts and general game ideas and rules because we do our best trying to answer all the questions which we get from our players as long as they don't interfere with NDA. I mean the content which hasn't been approved in team and that we still doubt if we're going to do it.
could you repeat, please, the question?
Me?
For some reason, I thought you asked me a question.
No,
I was
no.
just trying to read the chat and kind of.
Yeah, it's yes, it's the thing which I'm really thankful Alex for because both Kevin and I on the charts and reading the questions and giving answers for them is quite tough. That's why we prefer to keep all our streams together because it's just easier for us to keep not to miss any question of yours.
Alex asks, how did I recognize him? So I guess that's the mystery, better left untold.
Yeah, the longer you work with people, the more you know about them.
Yeah. So let me read another comment. Do you have an idea of how many different monsters you want to have available at launch?
Good question, guys. The pretty straightforward answer would be as many as we can do, because when we have already several design documents which are written for several types of different monsters which are not werewolves, and we will be more than happy to make them all. But still, guys, it's not an easy thing for indie team because we don't have a proper funding, and that makes the difference really. So just need to say, if you want to support us, you can visit our Patreon page and join with some pledge which is affordable to you. Just check our Patreon page. We have several cool rewards there, which may be just be interesting to you, so you would be ready to support us there. Yeah, so that's why, yes, we have a lot of ideas, we have a lot of things. How many characters would be available at the release? We'll see how things would go, because in case of Beast Tower, making a character and balance it out and just solve all the issues with this character, it's not really easy thing to do. It's not a really easy thing to do. That's why I would rather stay away from promising something big and just to make sure that, well, guys, our just rule is simple one, because it's better not to give promise rather than break one.
Yeah, I believe it's a good strategy to have. Developing the game, especially because many. I shouldn't say like many, but there are a few developers who make promises they cannot keep, and it's very unfortunate. Let me read another question. Give me a second. Lunar is asking us if, for some reason, like two raiders in one match, they can team up and escape. Is it possible to like escape together?
Okay. Let's say that technically, and if we just suggest such an opportunity, yes, it's possible. Two raiders can decide to team up and understand one another without saying a word, and will be helping each other through the whole game. The problem is that all the quests and all the level ups are pretty private thing. That means that if one raider fulfills a quest and gets reward for that in terms of experience, the other raider won't get anything. Secondly, there is so-called friendly fire in the game because you don't have friends. That's why if you are close to one another, you can accidentally damage one another, and you should keep it in mind too. And thirdly, at the very late stage of the game, when you are to either escape or try to remain the last survivor for Raider, at this point the stakes are really high, and at that point usually all the unions start breaking out, because as long as a person collects a special key which is necessary to escape, his, would say, friend, which you just find in the game, just would stay without it. And it's the common competition for the resources and for leveling up that can take place and usually takes place. So we've seen people who joined our focus groups and played Beast Tower not long ago and just, asking this question. But you see, the point is that the whole time of our playtest, which is pretty huge, we never had such a problem that somebody would heavily team up, because the whole game is built on competition. So if somebody level upped, it means that you are behind and you don't want to be behind. And in this case, you would be just start to attack other raiders just for the sake of driving them away from good places where you can get Arcana, and that's why become a stronger player.
If I'm not mistaken, not so long ago, there was a person who played Beast Tower and said, like, it's the game about losing your friends.
Yeah. There is a kind of, team joke about Beast Tower in Beach Studios, that Beast Tower is a game to lose your friends, because you can help somebody and this person won't have to return the favor. He or she can just easily stab you in the back to get your resources and just to level up. So in Beast Tower, it's really hard to trust people.
So we have another question actually about the levels up, about the progression system in the game. So let me just read it. I see during leveling up, that you are either choosing to unlock new abilities or enchanting, if I'm reading it right.
Yeah.
New abilities. Is it choosing or enchanting, or a mix of both?
Well, actually, it's a mix of both because each raider has three branches of skill tree in his or her game. So the first branch, it empowers your shooting ability. So you can shoot from the beginning of the game, but this shooting is far from perfect. So you have really low ammo. You don't have any special effects which make you shooting more proficient. That's why when you level up shooting, you rather enchant things. Although on the third level of shooting mechanics or shooting skills level up, you get a separate ability which helps you to make a super shot, which lets you do things like bashing away or blinding your opponents. Um, yes, and there are two extra abilities which you don't have from the early beginning, as long as you don't level up them. So in this case, so that's why in Beasttower you both unlock new abilities and you do improve them, or as we usually say, upgrade them. That's. So this is how it works in our game.
Have you mentioned that during Beast gameplay you do not upgrade?
No, I didn't notice it, but it's a good addition, Alex. That beasts, they have all the abilities available from the early beginning of the game. And when they level up, they boost the HP and damage. Because first of all, we wanted beasts to be a threat from the start of the match. So it forces raiders to run away, which stimulates the parkour chases, which are a visiting card of Beast Tower, right? And secondly, we wanted raiders and beasts to feel completely unique gameplay, although with some small common ideas, which we can't just neglect because they're playing the same map. And in case of beasts, yes, you level up your HP and damage, and you just use all the abilities as long as you want. That's the thing which differs beasts gameplay from raider gameplay. Alex, do you hear me?
Yeah, I had a technical issue, right? Now it's fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
How much do you think it would cost to get
To get Rezel from the Soul River games as a character.
so yeah, actually I haven't played Soul River.
Yeah, I've played
So
Soul River. I played Soul River. I played it on PC. I finished the Legacy of Kain Soul River, classic first part of Roselle Adventures. And I believe I finished the second one, where he returns back into the Nazgûl past, where the world hasn't is still not destroyed by Kain treachery. So, honestly speaking, I have no idea how much it would cost. But I would be more than happy to have Raziel as a playable character. And honestly, I even don't know whenever he would be, if we just imagine that we managed to sign a contract with franchisee owners, which I'm not mistaken must be Square Enix right now.
it's actually not, because Square Enix sold most of them, like of the rights to Western games they had to, if I'm not mistaken, it's some kind of a German company.
Mhm.
Yeah, and right now probably it's not Square Enix.
Well, yeah, but I just even don't know. Usually, you also, in case of Dead by Daylight, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure that if they do pay some sum for getting the character into the game, but I believe they pay royalties for all the purchases connected with this guy or girl. For example, if somebody buys a DLC for Dead by Daylight with Freddy Krueger, for each dollar the Behave Interactive earns with this transaction, they need to pay to those who are in charge of owning the franchise of Freddy Krueger. The Oak Street, Nightmare on the Oak Street franchise.
If I'm not mistaken, he was removed from the game. It cannot be bought anymore.
I'm not sure about Freddy, But I am 100% sure about the monster from Stranger Things, who was called, if I'm not mistaken, Demogorgon. Demogorgon was removed from DBD, but he was removed as a opportunity to be bought by new people after some period, after some date. But those who already bought this monster, they just keep on owning this uh, killer and can play with him during the game.
Yeah, so people in the chat saying that he wasn't removed, so I was mistaken. So that, my
Yes,
bad.
yeah, yeah. But you see, I won't just say that it would be a kind of giving out some ideas of ours, but you see, we really like the design of Freddy's abilities. That's why I'm not sure, but maybe at some point we would try to do something like that with some characters of ours. And according to the question about Rezel, I still am really interested. So from your point of view, if Rezel is put into the game, what role would he be performing? As a beast chasing others, or as raider running away? What do you think? Just drop a line in the comments. I would be really appreciate your opinion about this thing, because when I start thinking, there are too many pros and cons for every approach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alex says that, I mean, Demogorgon was removed from the game because they wanted to create their own game, and that's why he was removed. I'm not sure. I haven't at least heard about any news about the new upcoming games in this franchise. I mean, the Stranger Things. But it can be possible. I mean,
Yeah, it might be possible, and you see, this is the thing why we do want to build our own universe and our own world and our own characters, because working on licenses is really cool thing. It's really cool thing because you have all the visual things figured out, and all the visuals are already understandable how they should be done. The problem is, and also people know this franchise, and they are ready just to pay the attention because it has a loud name. But on the other hand, we have a problem like with the Demogorgon, was a problem which faced the creators of Friday the 13th, the game, that if the franchise holder decides to break the contract and no longer want to provide you with the opportunity to use his or her characters, you would really suffer as a product, because you get content removed, and it's a problem most of the time for multiplayer developers to add new content. But if you have problem with just adding any content, it's just really, 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 really hard thing to pay.
yeah, frustrating.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I say we would. Our current plan is to stick with our own universe, already developed and written, and with, if we have such an opportunity, and we would do our best to get this opportunity, to offer guest characters from other universes. In this case, you can just try cool guys in cool setting and just maybe some unusual circumstances, but still we would be protected from the solution making of the franchise holder, who due to some reason would decide to stop the provision of visuals. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. I would see Raziel as a raider, if I'm not mistaken the name. He may be a monster, but his role is to hunt monsters. And since the game is free for all, it really wouldn't matter if other raiders went after him. So I just read the comment about your question.
Yeah, I think you are 100% right that from the sake of balance, I won't say that would be a problem. But you see, the main maybe feature of beasts, at least as we made it for the werewolves right now, are that they have no limits of moving around the city. It's first thing, and second thing that they have their whole the tracking mechanics, which lets them to perform a hunting haul and noticed raiders which are called by. So if we talk about Rezel, we need to decide whenever we want him to behave as a chaser, or we want him to behave as a escapist, as a survivor, or as a adventure seeker. That's the thing.
I see some suggestions for the abilities of this character.
Hmm.
Can you comment on them?
Yes, of course, to use phasing and telekinesis. You see, Alex, in all the Legacy of Kain franchise, Raziel is a kind of rice. So it's a kind of really strange creature who is not dead, but is not fully alive. And due to these strange circumstances, he is just living in. He can both to change between the world of living and the world of spirits. And at this, he's phasing. Not only somehow things change in terms of lightning, in terms of colors, in terms of new enemies appearing, but also it changes the landscape. So if at some point of the game you can't get in somewhere in real world, you just switch back to the world of ghosts and try to find the solution there. It's how it worked, and they have really brilliant level design, especially for the first game. Everything changes so cool and just becomes really different that you just whoa when you see it. And the second question about telekinesis, well, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the abilities which Wesley acquired when he was fighting of his previous brothers. I mean, these vampires who turned into monsters just thousands of years after Rezel was burned in the whirlwind and actually turned into a race. Yeah, but you see, we'll just, if we have such an opportunity, we'll just fresh in mind all the abilities and all cool things about Rezel. And then we will decide what exactly balance, what exact gameplay he should have in Beast Tower in order to suit into the general balance system of the game.
The thing you mentioned that this character is not fully alive, and it's not very dead per se. But I mean, it reminds me of a character from a game I really like. Maybe you have heard of it. It's the game is Planescape Tournament.
I miss this game, honestly speaking.
It's a pretty old game from the 90s, but maybe it's a spoiler for you guys in the chat, but so close your ears if you don't want to hear it. But the trick is that the embodiment of your mortality is chasing you and is trying to put an end to your life. So your character actually died so many times that even the universe puzzled. It doesn't know what to do with you, and your mortality has its own personality, and it's trying to chase you. And it has some questions for your character.
Yeah. You see, guys, there are so many cool visuals, so many cool ideas. That's why, believe me, there is such great field for Beast Tower to develop, to grow, that we are really fascinated with this when we're just thinking about it. So just stay in our community. Please put your likes and shares, write comments. That really helps us to get more and more audience, which is crucial for PvP game. And we would appreciate your support in this way. So the more you support us, the easier for it becomes to make new things for Beast Tower.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally. So, Anton, do we have more time for questions?
Well, according to the Steam, our planned time is over. So I don't know if we have something unanswered right now in our chats on Steam. Steam chat is just okay. So I think that we should stick to Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, there is a comment from YouTube, but person is just saying that the game looks like a lot of fun.
And it is a lot of fun, believe me, because I've been playing the game 2 times a week for a very long time already. That's why I would say that you don't get bored. You can play game after a game and don't get bored because so many things happened, so people behave in a different way that you just, oh my God, how it could just happen. That's it.
Yeah, I believe Anton is the how should I put it? So he plays Beast the most among all of the developers, but I am pretty close to the number of playtests Anton has. So I'm probably the second in terms of on the second place in terms of number of games played in the team.
Yeah, because Alex is also in charge of several aspects of game design. That's why he just tries not to miss out any playtest, just to make sure that he keeps, the hand on the
Up to
pulse.
date.
Yes, up to date. So just because I just can't say how many bugs, some uneasy issues Alex noticed, and we fixed them due to his reports. It's so cool that you do it.
Thank you. I do my best. I guess so. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead, but probably we should wrap this thing up.
Yeah. So guys, I would say that thank you very much for being with us, for asking questions, because it's always cool to have a stream with people who are asking questions. Because what's the point of making a Q&A session if you're talking to yourself or your colleague? Sorry for some, organization issues this time. We would do our best to avoid any Steam schedules working against us. But still, you are here, we're here, and I hoped you really enjoyed your time being with us.
I think we should do it more often, like surprising,
Unexpected stream, yes?
unexpected streams. Yeah, like, oh, guys, come on, come in and let's have some fun talking with and showing, talking about the game and showing maybe new footage. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's unexpected stream, so I
Yeah,
cannot give you any promises.
yeah, it somehow, don't make you, fall into some kind of a template as a developer and makes you somehow, figure out things on the go. I can't say that's a really good practice in game development generally, but it helps you to hasten your brain and to give you some kind of a challenge, which is necessary if you want to grow as a specialist or as a person.
Absolutely agree.
Uh,
So, guys, thank you very much for coming.
Yes, thank you very much for coming. Please join our Discord and all other social media if you have some more questions which we didn't answer right now. So I again thank you for coming and being with us this night. And best of all to you. Have the great time possible. And we see you on the Friday at 5 p.m. UTC. It will be also a stream there. It's our regular stream, not just made for Steam's sake. And on the 9th of June, this Sunday, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. UTC time, please come and play Beast Tower, and then let us know your feedback in Discord or in any other social media you prefer. So, Alex, thank you very much for helping me out and being tonight with me on this stream. And guys, have the best time possible. See you on next stream and in demo. And as we used to say, the beast will come. Bye-bye.